everyone. Welcome to the Talent Podcast. We've got a little bit of a different one today. Sam and I are here, but our guest is an external speaker who I'm very excited to introduce you to in a little bit. But our topic today is all around leadership. So, as most of you know, we've recently launched our brand new Cluster North leadership development journey. So, what we're going to be touching on today is a lot around our leadership capabilities at KM, and also I think it's just a really good opportunity to hear a little bit about leadership in general outside of KM too. So what's happening in that outside world. So Sam is here too. Sam, do you want to give a little?
Hi everyone, I am here. Really excited about today. It's just fantastic to have somebody external coming to join us for our podcast. So yeah, thanks for the intro, Amy. We have got, as Amy said, Petemorris joining us today. So Pete, do you want to kind of give a bit of an introduction to yourself as well?
I absolutely will. Yeah. Hey, thanks for letting me come on this wonderful podcast. I've listened to the last couple. I've really enjoyed them. So it's lovely to be here. I've had my own leadership consultancy for about 8.5 years. Basically, what we do all day is we try to inspire people, try to inspire leaders to do the things at work that inspire them. There's still, sadly, an alarmingly high percentage of people. I think the last survey was around 68% who don't enjoy going to work. Now, the good news is that number started to come down quite quickly in the last 5 years, but it's still very high, and that to me feels wrong. I think it's our right to be inspired and be passionate at work. So my company spends most of its time working with people, mainly leaders, whether that's coaching or consulting, on how to make leadership more enjoyable, more rewarding, and a bit more fulfilling.
Interesting. Gosh, 68%, Pete. That feels like a high number, doesn't it?
It is high. It's really high, Sam. I mean, about 5 years ago, it was about 87%.
Oh my gosh.
Which is when nearly 9 out of 10 of us 5 years ago didn't like going to work. And I think that, a lot of people still get that, like 6 o'clock Sunday night. Oh God, it's Monday tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh God, I've got to go through 5 days of that. And listen, I used to feel like that a lot. And I think what kind of pushed me into doing this type of work was the fact I thought I really don't want to feel like that anymore. And yeah, it is a high number, but listen, we got to focus on the positives. It is coming down.
Yeah.
And I think the more that we talk about it and the more we try and amend it and correct it, then it will drop even further.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's quite interesting, isn't it, as well, because I often have these conversations. We spend so much of our lives at work as well. So, the fact that a lot of people still feel quite unhappy going into work, I don't know, it's just it's quite sad, isn't it, really, when you think, that we've still got that amount of people that feel like that. But as you say, the positive, it is coming down. Just a quick one, I know I'm probably going off on the tangent, Pete, but why do you think it is starting to decline? Have you got any insight into that?
Yeah, I think that we're becoming a lot more aware of how we all go to work. I think that you kind of notice, which has been really pleasing to see, that we've obviously started to get into a situation in the last couple of months where people have thought, well, we're going to start making plans to maybe reopen the office and go back to the office maybe 1-2 days a week. But I think we all know that for the next, I don't know, however many years, we are going to be in this hybrid model that people talk about, where you're going to be, some of the time you're going to be in the office, and then other times when you're going to be working from home or you're going to be working remotely. Now, the good thing is that the best organizations are starting to think, right, if this is the way forward, if work's going to be like this, what does it do to our culture? Yes. The reason that we don't enjoy going to work is usually very, very little to do with the work that we do. It isn't the tasks that we perform every day. It's mainly we go into the office and we go in there and there is a feeling that we kind of don't like. We feel that it should be more than it actually is. The reason it's coming down is because you've got new ways of people thinking about leadership, which includes, right, if I take on a role as a leader, the first thing that I have to do is I have to get the culture right. I have to fix it.
Yes.
And if there is a good culture, we want to go to work.
Yeah.
You know, we've all worked in places, you know, I hope we've all worked in places in our lives where we've gone, I had a 2 or 3 year spell where I didn't get that Sunday-itis thing of thinking, oh God, tomorrow's Monday. I was like, great, tomorrow's Monday because I'm going to go in and I'm going to do work that I believe in. I'm going to be with people that I enjoy being with. I kind of know that I'm not going to be happy all the time, but the work that I'm doing and my purpose, my why of going to work makes me fulfilled. And that is, I think, all we can ask for anything in our lives, not just work. Listen, we know when people kind of say, I sometimes have this conversation with people and I go, right, if you're unhappy, what do you want? And they say, well, I want to be happy. And I usually say, that's not going to happen. You're not going to be happy all the time because as human beings, we're not happy all the time.
Absolutely.
Happiness is a fleeting thing. It's great when we get it and we think, oh, I'm really happy today. I had a great day at work. I went out, I had a couple of drinks with my colleagues and I'm going into a nice weekend and, I'm seeing my family and the sun's out and my football team won and all of those things that we go, at the moment, I am happy.
Yeah.
But then something will come along that will make you unhappy. So happiness is always going to be a fleeting thing, but fulfillment at work is completely attainable. And that's how we should feel. I feel fulfilled by the job that I do, the place that I work at, the people that I'm surrounded by, and by my leadership.
Yes. I was just about to say a leader plays such a key role in that, don't they, for their teams?
Oh my God, completely. Listen, if you get asked when you work with leaders, you get asked, well, what does leadership sort of mean? And I think it's all about responsibility for me. If you said to me, what's leadership like? The thing that leadership is most like, in my opinion, is it's most like parenting. That is the level of seriousness that you need to take your responsibility as a leader. I don't think as a leader that you're ever really in charge. You are responsible for the people that are in your charge. It is up to you to make them feel safe and fulfilled and developed and sometimes tested and grown. And I don't think, if I look at the best leaders don't come into work every day and obsess about the result. I don't think there's a single leader who I respect and admire who spends every minute of every day on the result, because the leader isn't responsible for the result. The leadership is responsible for the people. The people are responsible for the result. And I think that's how you have to think about it. Leadership truly is about taking a wider view. And I think most really good leaders are very aware and are okay with the responsibility that they have.
Wow, go on, Sam.
Yeah, that's just giving me goosebumps a little bit because it's so.
Sorry, Sam.
No.
In a good
It's a bit
way.
early on a Friday morning for some goosebumps.
It is a bit early, but goosebumps,
absolutely.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
But no, that just really kind of rings true with me because I don't know. I've definitely had some. And kind of doing the quote signs here with my hands, some leaders, but for me, they just saw themselves as managers, and I just think I can't bear the word manager, Pete. I don't know what you think, how you feel. I think there's a massive difference between a manager and a leader.
I hate it.
Because I can think, about the result. I mean, as I say, I've come from quite a hardcore sales background, and so many of our leaders were not leaders. They were just obsessed with the result. So you were almost kind of seen as a number, if that makes sense. So yeah, that really rings true with me. And I do think, and I don't know what you find, is that there definitely is still a lot of people out there that are in leader positions, but they're not. They're just managing.
Oh, completely. And you know, listen, a great leadership is somebody who is willing to put themselves first when there's a lot of risk and danger, and someone who's willing to put themselves last when there's a lot of glory and success.
Yes.
That's the deal. And great leaders understand that it isn't about management. And I agree with you, Sam, about the word manager. And I think it gets used because we can't think of a better one.
Yeah.
But managing, if you said, right, listen, let's take the word manage and use it in ways that we don't. So if we were out for a walk and we see kind of like an elderly lady or an elderly man, and they're walking along the street and they're struggling with big bags of shopping. They've just been to the supermarket. What do we say? Can you manage?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, and you know, if you're kind of like, you see someone and you think, can you manage with that? Are you okay with that? It's next to coping.
Yes, it is.
You know, you shouldn't be saying, sales manager. It should be sales coper. And you know, and the whole point of it is because we can't think of a better word, and we don't want to kind of use the word leader because we're a little bit scared of it.
Yeah.
Great leaders understand that leadership is actually about sacrifice. It's not a prize or a gift in the way that you kind of mention it. When you see people that get promoted to leadership positions, it gets branded as, let me give you the prize of leadership. Let me give you the gift of leadership. We see it all the time.
Yep.
You know, it's like, hey, listen, you've performed brilliantly well in your job. We're promoting you to the next level up, and we're going to give you the responsibility of looking after all of these people. Congratulations. And then we just walk away and we leave them to get on with it, and we don't offer them any support. And then in about a year or two, somebody more senior to them goes, Bob's not very good at leadership, it turns out. Well, is that a surprise?
Absolutely.
You know, this thing of bigger salary, fancy title, corner office, all the kudos and perks that come with leadership, they're given to you because you've agreed to make a sacrifice.
Yeah.
You've signed up to take a risk, and you've signed up to put other people before you. That's why we get really angry when we see leaders behaving badly.
Yes.
Because we all know that we do, because we know that they're being given all of this extra stuff for doing the right thing. So when they don't do the right thing, we don't like it. So it is completely about understanding that you are making, yes, you're going to be paid more than anybody else. And by the way, just on that point, I don't know anyone in any organization who has a problem with their leader being paid more than them. We're all fine with that. We don't mind somebody being paid more than us if somebody's taking more risk and more sacrifice. That's fine. The problem that we have is where we see people not taking the risk and not taking the sacrifice. And that's when things go wrong.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Because getting paid more makes sense. If a leader is doing what they're meant to be doing in terms of taking this level of responsibility for these people, then absolutely they should be getting paid to do that. That's a huge amount of risk and responsibility. But I guess that's what makes, if people don't feel kind of safe and protected by their leader, then that's when the irritability kind of starts to set in, I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. But we have to we have to be realistic as well, because it honestly hasn't got anything to do with a rank or a title. Leadership's a series of behaviors. Leadership's the things that you say and the things that you do every day. You could be a middle ranking, you could even be a low ranking person in a team or an organization, and you can still behave like a leader.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
leadership, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Leadership works best when the leader's got a purpose or a vision. Now, when I say this stuff, people think, oh God, he wants me to be that kind of like sort of Churchillian, Obama like leader where I walk into the office every day, I deliver the Sermon on the Mount, and everybody kind of gets on the floor and goes, we love you, right? That's not leadership, right? No, you don't need to be that person who gives a huge speech and needs, you need to say something inspiring to everybody when you walk past them in the corridor. It's not about that, but it is about, back to the point of the 68%, why has it come down? Because it means creating an environment or a culture where people think, yeah, I really want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And the only way that a leader achieves that is how they behave, what they say, and their actions. And if those three things don't match up, becoming a leader is very difficult.
It's modeling those behaviors, isn't it, Pete?
Of course it is. Of course it is. You have to, you're on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's, here we go again. That's why you're being paid more than anybody else.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because you're on all the time. You know, it's not, we were chatting before we started recording, and, you know, I said to you, leadership, I truly, truly believe that leadership is the hardest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not easy, it's the opposite of easy, and it isn't for everyone. Bit like parenting.
Yeah.
It isn't for everyone, right?
I hear you.
But it will be the most rewarding thing, bit like parenting, it will be the most rewarding thing at work that you will ever do. You know, you'll never nail it. It will never be done. There's no definitive how-to guide. Listen, if you go into your local bookshop, you go into your local Waterstones, and you go to the business section, I guarantee you 40% of the books are going to be about leadership.
Yes.
Now, that in itself says a lot, because it means that no one's ever got it right.
Yeah.
They're still writing books.
They're still writing books about it. Well, listen, I wouldn't have a career if seriously.
Very true.
And the whole thing is because you can't get it. You're never, ever going to get it right. You're never going to nail it. It'll never be done. There is no definitive how-to guide, but it's nothing to do with nailing it. It's about getting better at it and looking at yourself and thinking,
trying as well,
absolutely, absolutely trying. Am I a better leader than I was a few months ago, a few years ago? If the answer to that is yes, you're going in the right direction. You're doing the right things. You know, it is very uncomfortable. Having a leadership profile isn't easy, but that's the gig.
Yeah. This makes me feel good though, because with our 4 key leadership capabilities at KonicaMinolta, Pete, are around emotional intelligence, influence, agility, and communication. I feel like they hit on absolutely everything that we've just discussed. But I guess, for just conscious that obviously this podcast isn't just internally, and this does go external for us, for those people that are currently a leader or aspiring to be a leader, and in an organization where they do kind of just chuck you into those leadership roles and hope for the best, what are kind of your, obviously you've seen great leaders, you've seen not so great leaders, so what would your biggest tip for those people be?
Good question.
I think that you have to be yourself. You have to be authentic. You have to remember who you are. I've seen, and I've also experienced, being led by people trying to be something that they're not. It never works, and it is really easy to see it. If you're going into a leadership journey, or you're starting one, or you're new into it, a good place to start is actually at the end, because you will, whether you like it or not, or whether you know it or not, you will leave a legacy as a leader. So you have to work out now what you want that to be. How do you want to be remembered? What sort of leader do you want to be? that's a really good place to start. When you leave the group of people that you're leading at the moment and you go and do something else, what do you want them to have said about your leadership? So the minute that you start thinking about that, that starts to alter your behavior in a more authentic way. You know, I've seen people be given the responsibility of leadership and fundamentally try to change their personality overnight because they feel that they need to act as this kind of authority figure and they need to have all the answers. It's got nothing to do with that. You don't need to have all the answers. Why is it that we see these awesome CEOs sometimes switch industry? They completely
Yes.
change industry. And we go, well, hang on a second. A couple of months ago, that individual was working in the media sector, and now they're working in the healthcare sector. There's no way that they can know anything about the healthcare sector in a couple of months. Well, of course they don't.
No.
But that's not the point. The fact of the matter is they're going in there to lead.
Yes.
And you don't need to know. You don't need lots and lots of knowledge. Look, it helps, right? I'm not saying knowledge is completely unimportant. Of course it's important. Of course you have to know what your company does and the market trends and all of that stuff. Of course you do. But you're not going in there to pass a test on the knowledge of the company that you work for. You're going in there to lead a group of people to success. So I think the best thing that you can do if you're starting out is think, right, in a few years' time, when this ends, what sort of leader was I? And what sort of leader do I want to be? And if you start there, you're probably going to end up behaving in the right way, doing the right thing, and making people feel like they want to come and work for you.
I love that.
Yeah, it's transferable skills, isn't it? I mean, we talk about this quite a lot, don't we, Amy, in terms of kind of, you know, the technical ability against kind of, you know, your more kind of soft skills, or I don't know. It's something that we talk a lot about, Pete, but actually I hadn't even thought about that in terms of leadership positions as well. So it's quite interesting to hear you say that.
I love that. And obviously, before we were recording this podcast, we were talking quite a lot about the best excuses for people being late, which I think I won because my milk loaf are overfrothed. What is the with all the coaching that you've done, obviously not breaching client confidentiality, but what's the best answer you've ever had to that question of, you know, thinking about it from the end? What legacy do you want to leave, and what do you want people to think about when you leave as a leader? What's the best answer you've had?
Yeah. I think the best answer I've ever had is people saying that they want people to trust them.
Yes. I'm actually really glad you said that.
Yeah.
Trust is so important.
Massively.
It's key, isn't it? Without trust, nothing else really will fall into place.
Absolutely right. It's kind of like the golden answer for me. When someone says, I want them all to trust me, then you kind of know that you're going to be working with someone who's going to end up doing the right thing and probably being a pretty good leader.
Because they care.
Because it's important to them. Absolutely right. I want them to trust me. And the thing is, we get and I understand this mindset, by the way, and I've done it myself. I still sometimes veer into it in my own business, even though this is the sort of sphere that I work in every day. It is really easy to think, I'm just going to focus on the result. I'm just going to focus on the result. Now, we look at we use a lot of sporting analogies when we talk about leadership, and we get a bit confused because we start thinking, well, in sport, it's only about the result. It's only about winning. Okay, yes, that's true, but the majority of successful sports individuals or successful sports teams or organizations, they are thinking bigger than the next game, the next race. the next thing. There is a feeling, a culture in these organizations of, we're building something much, much bigger here. We're trying what in our time as custodians of this thing, we're trying to leave a legacy where people learn from it and look back on it and go, wow, they really kind of changed the organization for the better. And it felt great to be a part of that while they were doing it. So we sometimes do that thing where we go result. But I think that if you step back and you think, what if I fixed everything else? It's probably pretty likely that the result would end up taking care of itself.
Yes. Yeah. That's so true, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Well, this has been, I don't want to, quite possibly one of my favourite ones.
Oh, thank God.
No, I
There
mean,
was that awful moment. It was like X Factor. This is, oh no, am I coming back next week or what?
To the judges' houses next week, Pete.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, you're through.
Just don't give me Louis Walsh.
Gosh, yeah, I mean, it's so insightful, Pete. I could talk to you for a really long time. And yeah, I hope to kind of continue these conversations, maybe off air. But no, it's been really, really interesting, actually. A great start to a Friday. Ames, do you want to ask the classic question that we always ask? Because I feel like Pete's going to have a really good answer for us.
So do I. So no pressure. But what is the best career advice that you've ever received to date, and why?
Okay, yeah.
Apologies about the why, Sam added that.
Right.
The other day.
Okay, that's okay.
It's evolved.
The best career advice I've ever been given has been, don't settle. Don't think, yeah, this will do. This is enough. If we're talking about leadership in this case, I don't think that there is a coincidence that the best leaders that I know are the ones that are most interested in leadership and how to get better at it. The other sort of piece of advice I think that you know I'm obviously, hopefully it comes across, but I'm a bit obsessed with leadership. I am actually interested in it. You know, I read about it, I watch stuff about it. It's kind of my thing. And sometimes I can get a bit over excited by it. And I think that, you know, being passionate, but being calm is exactly what you want in any leader, business leader, team leader. Nobody wants some sort of over emotive nutter as a leader. You know, if you get into a situation, whether it's your family or whether it's your business or whether it's your, you know, the cricket team that you play for on a Sunday morning, when something goes wrong, we literally look at our leaders at how to behave. We physically turn our heads and look at them if they're in the room, because the leader is setting the tone from a behavioral, and we mentioned it earlier, culture perspective, and we all follow that whether we know it or not. So
parents, isn't it? Yeah,
of course it is, absolutely, it's exactly the same. So I would say, yeah, the best piece of advice I've been given is don't settle. Always keep thinking there probably is a little bit more.
Yes.
And I'm going to try and find it. And it's unbelievably amazing to be passionate about the job that you do, but people want you to be calm, and they want you to kind of feel that you've got it, even if you haven't got it.
Yes.
Indeed, have a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we are.
Well, we have come to our end of the time together today, but Pete, thank you so much for coming on the
Absolutely.
podcast with us.
Complete pleasure.
Thank you. No, we really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get to hear a lot more from you in the future too.
Absolutely.
Hope so. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
very insightful. Thank you
It
so
really was.
much.
Pleasure.
And we shall speak to you soon. Have a
Yeah.
lovely rest of the Friday, everybody.
Thank you all for listening.
Bye.
Bye.